वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह. Today we are going to learn the first 5 letters of Gurmukhi. Starting from the basics, earlier we had 35 letters in Gurmukhi, and then after that 6 letters were added. So right now we are having 41 letters in Gurmukhi. Apart from the letters that we are having laga matras also. So in other words, if we have to say it, we can say symbols. So when these laga matras or symbols are attached to a specific letter, it will change the sound of the letter. For example, I have this word C-A-T. We say it cat. But if we have to pronounce the letter separately, I will say C, A, and then T. It will not be C-A-T. It will be cat. So when letters are attached to other letters, or the symbols or lagamatras are attached to other letters, they will change the sound of the specific letter. So this is just a basic of how many letters we have in Gurmukhi and what laga matras are. We will be discussing in the other lesson. So whenever we are going to talk about a specific letter, we will be dividing it into 7 steps. The first step will be how to write that specific letter. The second step will be, if you know this specific letter, are you going to learn some other letter also in Gurmukhi? The third step will be how to pronounce this letter. The fourth step will be how it is going to sound when you are going to write it. For example, we have a word cat. So this letter here, the first letter, how it is going to sound? It is going to sound C. If we are separating all the 3 letters here, this will be C, this will be A, this will be T. So they are sounding differently, but when we attach all these 3 letters, it's going to give us cat. So same thing we are going to do in step 4. If we are going to talk about one specific letter, what sound it is going to give you, that will be discussed. In step 5, we are going to talk about some specific examples. So like here, if I am going to teach you a letter, say C, then from C, what words we have? We have C for cat, C for Canada, C for camel. So all these examples we are going to discuss. In the step 6, we are going to talk about the wrong sounds. Means if I say one specific letter is going to sound like this English letter, it might not be true for all the words that we have in English. We will be discussing it further when we have an example. In step 7, we are going to talk about how to write it correctly. There will be a little difference between step 1 and step 7. As we are learning it from the basics, in step 1, we will just write it simply. Because say if I am a new person who wants to understand Gurmukhi, then I will write in a way which will be easy for me to understand. But in step 7, we are going to write it in that way which is correct. So let's begin. If I am a person who understands English or who knows basic of English, and I know how to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, then it will be very easy to write Gurmukhi letters. So let's write first 0 to 9. The first letter in Gurmukhi is Uda. First step, how to write this letter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this 3 here and then I'm going to connect the edges. It will look like a B in English letter. After that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a C and I will rotate it to counterclockwise to 90 degree. And then this I will have it here. So this is how you're going to have Uda in Gurmukhi. First, write a 3, connect the edges, and then use a C over here. C which is rotated to 90 degree clockwise. So this is the first letter in Gurmukhi, Uda. So if you know this letter, are you going to learn some other letters? Yes, you're going to learn some other letters. The second letter that you're going to learn is the 21st letter. What that letter is, how to pronounce it, and everything that we will be covering up in the next lessons. But now, just a brief, if you know this letter, the first alphabet in Gurmukhi, then you are going to learn the 21st letter in Gurmukhi. Apart from that, you are going to learn the 35th letter. So these 2 letters you are going to learn if you know the first letter of Gurmukhi. Now step 3. How to pronounce this letter. If I am a new person who is trying to understand Gurmukhi, it will be very hard for me to pronounce it correctly. So what we are going to do is, we are going to bring some words from English and then we are going to do a slice and dice to get the pronunciation. Many of you might be watching WWE. So in WWE, we are having these brothers. I'm pretty sure that you know their names. Yeah, you heard it correctly. So what I'm going to do is, I am going to get the first letter that they have in their names, which will be a U, but it will not be pronounced as a U. It will be pronounced as U. They are saying U so, right? So this will be my U, not U, and then I'm going to have the other part of this letter, U plus Ra. And I tried to get this word from somewhere else, but I did not get so far. So I will write it here, R-H-A. So it will be sounding like something like this. U, Ra. Not Raha, but Ra. U plus Ra. U, Ra. If you practice it twice or thrice, it will be very easy to pronounce it correctly. We will divide it into 2 parts, U plus Ra, U, Ra. So this is the third step that we have. The fourth step will be the sound. So it is going to give you the sound of U, like we have it here. Whenever a word is starting from this letter, the first letter of Gurmukhi, remember, not U, but U. It will be like, it will not be O actually, but it will be U. So you can have it with U or U, it depends on you. But if you remember these brothers, Uso brothers, it will be very easy to remember how it is going to sound. Step 5. Example. Obama. He was the president of America, right? So Obama will be starting from this. If you talk about Obama, it will be starting from an O. So that is why I mentioned both O and U here. In Gurmukhi, if telling you in brief, it will be more about the sounds rather than the letters. If you know which letter sounds what, then it will be very easy to understand Gurmukhi. So the first example is Obama. So it will be starting from this letter. You might ask, okay, I know Obama will be starting from this letter, but how will I write Obama? So to write Obama, we need some other letters apart from this. So those things we will cover up in the upcoming lessons, not here. The second example that I can give is Orissa, an Indian state. So that will also be starting from this letter, Orissa. So these are the two examples that I have. But it will not necessarily be true that if a word is starting from U or O, then you have to have this letter. No. So this is our sixth step. This is why I said the wrong sounding words. We can have an example. From U, I have umbrella. But if you want to write umbrella in Gurmukhi letters, then it will not be starting from this letter. No, it will be a different letter. Why? Because we are saying umbrella, not umbrella. Just remember the sound and it will be so easy to learn Gurmukhi. The second example that I can give is, you can say orange. So we have U here and then we are having an O. So orange will not be starting from this letter again. And why is that? Because we do not say orange. We say orange. But some of might you say, I know it is not orange, but orange. So that is why orange will not be starting from this letter. On the other hand, you can question me that you say Obama will be starting from this letter. But here, on the other hand, you are saying it is O, not O. So if it is going to give me the sound of O like we have in Uso Brothers, then why you are saying Obama will be starting from this letter? Because if we're going to start Obama with this letter, then it will be sounding like Obama, which is not correct. It should be Obama, right? So that is where our symbols come. So that is what we talked about in the beginning. When you are going to attach the symbols with this letter, it will change the sound of this letter. So if I'm going to talk about Obama, let me clean this up. So if we are going to talk about Obama, we will not be writing it with this letter. We will be having the same letter, but a symbol attached to this letter. So it will be like this. See the difference. We did not attach this end to. Why we did not do this? We will learn when we will talk about lagamatras or symbols in other words, because I don't know if there is any word for lagamatra in English. So we can just say symbols. It will be very easy to understand and remember. Whenever I say symbols, that means we have to attach something to a specific letter. So this thing we will cover up in symbols lesson. So this was the first letter in Gurmukhi. And the seventh step that we have, how to write it correctly. Remember the first step. We had a 3, then we connect the edges, and then we have a C over this. I wrote a rotated C actually, counterclockwise 90 degree. If you look at it closely, then you will see the first part has more space than the lower part. But usually when people write it in Punjabi, they will simply write it in this way. They will not be caring if this has more space than this or not. But when you type it on computer, right? There, they will be having it completely different than how we are writing it here. But it doesn't matter. If you are going to write it how it is showing on the computer or how it is showing on the whiteboard, people will be able to understand it. So this is the first letter that we covered up. It is Uda. The second letter that we are going to discuss is Ada. First step, how to write it. There are multiple forms of R. So we are having R like this, and then we are having R like this, and there is another form of R. I don't know, I searched this thing before this session, but I did not see it on the internet. But I have friends who will be using this thing as an R. I don't know if it is correct or not, but I have seen them using this thing in my school days actually. So that is a different subject, but if we are going to use this symbol, it will be very easy to write this letter. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to get this letter here, and then I'm going to have this letter again. I will combine them. First R, if it is R, that is a different thing, and then another R. We are good till that. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to get this one here. Simple. This is the second letter in Gurmukhi, Ada. Step 2. Are there any other letters that you are going to learn if you know this letter? And the answer is no. This is a very unique letter in Gurmukhi. If you know how to write this letter, you might not be able to get any other letter from this letter. Third step, how to pronounce it. So we have this letter here. And so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to get this A, not A. Just listen to the sound of the letter. Ant. Not A, but A. That A in ant, I am going to get, and then I will have Ra. So just remember this thing and how it is pronounced, because it was used in the first letter also. U, Ra. A, Ra. So that Ra sound you are going to get from this word. I will look up for any other word that we can use for this RHA so that it will be easy to understand how to pronounce it correctly. So from ant, I'm going to get A and then Ra. A, Ra. So this is the second letter. How it is going to sound? So this Era is going to give you the sound of A. Not A, but A. If nothing is attached to this letter, no symbol is attached to this letter, then it is going to give you the sound of A. We can have examples. The first example will definitely be this, and it is sounding different than what we discussed here. Here I said the sound will be A, but this will be the sound of A. So it is actually correct that if we are going to use this, it is actually correct that if I want to write ant, then I will be using this word. But as I said, when symbols are attached to a specific letter, it will change the sound of the letter. So I will write this here just to tell you briefly. Then I'm going to have this symbol. It will be the llama. We will talk about it in upcoming videos, but just to give you a brief about this thing. And then I will have a dot here. So this thing will give me the sound of a. This will give me the sound of a, simple a, but this thing will give me the sound of what we have in ant. So not discussing this further because it might create some confusion. If this is my first chapter and my teacher is mixing everything up, it will be very easy for me to forget everything. So we will go step by step. The first thing is just simple letter, no symbols attached. Like people say, no strings attached, right? No symbols attached. Just a simple letter. So if I want to ignore the example of ant, then I can have other examples where I will not be having these symbols attached to this letter. The example will be, actually I cannot think of any word which many of the people will be knowing where we do not have any symbols attached to this letter. Actually I can have so many words, akal, amar, and these type of words, but many people will not be knowing these words and their meanings. So okay, let's have other examples where we are having symbols attached to them, but it will be same as a. I mean, the letter will be starting from a, but it is not necessarily true that every letter which is starting from a, we will represent it with this letter. This will not be true, and this we will be discussing in the next step. The other examples that we can discuss apart from ant is Amritsar, a holy city of Sikhs, and then we can have Antarctica. Remember this a sound, Antarctica? That Antarctica sound will be coming from this again, with symbols. Without symbols, it will going to give you the sound of a, not a. So don't get mixed up with this thing. I'm sure that it is getting a little bit complex because in the first letter, if I have not seen all these letters in my life and I'm trying to understand Gurmukhi to read Gurbani, then it will be very hard to understand this thing, especially if I'm mixing everything up. But I do not see any other examples right now. So we will discuss with the symbols. So apart from Antarctica, we can have apple. Next, we have the sixth step, the wrong sounding words, in other words. So we can have an example of this. Asia or Asia, it depends where you live and how you pronounce. So as you can see, Asia is starting from an A, but it is not giving me sound of a or a. So it will not be starting with this letter. Gurmukhi letters are all about sounds. Understand the sounds and it will be very easy to understand the letters. So Asia will not be starting from the second letter of Gurmukhi. Even though it is starting with A, and I said here, it will be sounding like a, so not A. Remember this thing. All the letters which are starting from A might not be starting from Ada, the second letter of Gurmukhi. Okay, the seventh step is how to write it correctly. Remember how we did 2 R's and then 1. So this is my Ada, the second letter of Gurmukhi. But if we closely look at the letter, it will be more like this. see this thing here. It is not same. Oops. Let's have it like this. Yeah. It will not be same. I'm sorry. So this will not be same. But most of the time, people will be writing it in this way. So if you're writing it in this way, it doesn't mean that it is wrong. No, it is also correct. So this is just to show you guys, because sometimes when we read it on a book or on a paper, it reminds us, oh, I saw this letter in a video, there it was written completely different than what I'm seeing right now. This is the second letter. We covered all the 7 steps of this letter. Now come to the third letter. The third letter is ED. Now how to write this letter? Step 1. Okay, let me write it in this way. Step 1, so that it will be easy to know we are at which step. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get this 1 again. A small 1. That is done. Then I will have a C here. I will have a line here, and that is my ED. And one important thing that I forgot to tell you guys, in almost all the letters, not all the letters, almost all the letters, we will be having this line above. In the second letter, we did not have it, so our second letter was this. We cannot have a line here, which will be very wrong. Do not do this. So we will not be having this line. This is the correct way of writing. Without any line, you can have a small line here or a small line here. That is cool, but not above here. You cannot have this line there. No, this is wrong. In other words, if you have to write it, what you can do is, you can first have a line, then 1, C, and then this line here. So this is how you write the letter ED. Now how to, okay, sorry, that was the third step. The second step is, are there any other letters that you're going to learn if you know how to write this letter? Of course, we have. So here we are having second step now. The 16th letter. You are going to learn the 16th letter. And then you are going to learn 27th letter. Apart from that, you are going to learn the letter at the position 41. See how easy it is. I know this letter, the third letter, and I am going to learn 16th letter, 27th letter, and then the letter at the position 41. The second step is complete. So we are going to talk about the third step, how to pronounce it. Okay. Third step, I will write it here. Okay, we have this country, right? What I'm going to do is, I'm going to get the first letter from here. It is not the letter I mean the sound here actually, not the letter. How we pronounce this? Italy. We don't say Italy, right? Italy. So I'm going to get A from this letter, A, and then Re. So again, this is the word that you have to remember. Earlier, in the first letter and in the second letter, we have it this thing. This is the sound of Ra. This is the sound of Ri. Ri and Ra. So if you combine these two, it will be E, Ri. Simple. I will say it again. Get the first sound from Italy, E, and then add Re, R-H-E, E, Re, Italy, E, Re. So that is the third letter of Gurmukhi. And now we are having the fourth step. Okay, let me rub this. The fourth step I have is the sound. So it is going to give you the sound of E. E will be the sound you will get from this letter. Let's have examples. Fifth step. Example will be English, E for English, ED for English. The second example can be Italy, of course. The third example can be engine. And the fourth example can be the one that we discussed in the second letter, Asia. Even though it is starting from an A, it will be using this letter when we are going to write it in Gurmukhi. And the reason is, again, it is going a little bit complex, but I want to cover this fifth step because it is very important. When you're going to attach the symbols to this letter, it will give you Asia. So if I want to write it in Gurmukhi, it will be this letter, this symbol here, and then this letter here, again a symbol attached to this letter, the second letter that we discussed, and then again the symbol that I have. So it will give you Asia or Asia. In Punjabi we say it Asia, not Asia. So this is just the pronunciation thing, but most of the times it doesn't matter if you're saying Asia or Asia. In Gurmukhi or in Punjabi, it will be written like this. So we will talk about symbols later, but you can at least look at the examples that we have, or you can ignore the fifth step. Without symbols, you will not be having the correct sounds of the letter. But most of the time, we will be having E here, or if you add symbols, it can be A here also. The sixth step. The sixth step is the wrong sounding words. The perfect example that I can give you here is, here we said the sound will be A or E, but it is not necessarily true that all the words starting from E or A will be starting from this letter. Let's have an example. I want to have E here. So this is the example that I can give. Elephant. Elephant starts from an E. But if you want to write it in Punjabi, then you will not be using this letter. So it is not necessarily true that all the letters starting from E or A will be starting from the third letter of Gurmukhi, ED. Now comes the seventh part, I guess, right? Yeah, correct. So I mentioned it here. I'm sorry, I forgot. The seventh part is the seventh step is how to write it correctly. What we said earlier was I'm going to use 1 plus C is a line here, and then I will combine them in this or that way to get this letter. But if you look at it closely, then we will be having 1 definitely, but it will not be a C completely. It will be something like this. It is not a C because usually we write C like this, right? A curve is here, but here it is a little sharp here. So the correct way of writing it will be like this. But if you're writing it like this, okay, I don't know how to have this sharpness here. I want to write 1 C, this line, this thing, then it is also fine. People will know this is the third letter that you are talking about. The next is the fourth letter. So in this lesson, we are going to cover up the first 5 letters of Gurmukhi. We have done with the 3 letters. And if it is not about the pronunciation, at least I'm pretty sure you know how to write these letters and how to pronounce these letters. Not the sounds, but the letters. Both are different things. If the letter is this, if specifically we are talking about this letter, if the letter is ed, then it does not mean that it can have only one sound. It can have multiple sounds depending on the symbols. Okay, I'm mixing it up again. I'm sorry. Yeah, so let's have the fourth letter. The fourth letter in Gurmukhi is Sasa. Line, this thing, this thing. This is my fourth letter. How to write it? First step. First step is very important. You should know how to write this letter first. First step. How to write it? I will bring 1. Of course, 1 is very important in Gurmukhi. I will have 1. Again, I will bring 1. Then I will just connect it like this. Simple. Or, like I said, first, it will be better if you have a line here. And then I will have 1 again. And then I will connect. In other words, it will be good if we do it in this way. There is another way of writing. First, have a pi in mathematics. I know many people don't like mathematics, but just have it here so that it will be easy to know how to write this letter. And then just connect them. Perfect. So this is your fourth letter in Gurmukhi. Sasa. Second step. What are the other letters that you're going to learn if you know this letter? You're going to learn the 8th letter. And then you're going to learn 30th letter. Then you're going to learn 37th letter. And at last you're going to learn 39th letter. So learn this letter, you know the 5 letters of Gurmukhi. 4 and this one. 5 letters you know, and there are around 41 letters. If you know 1 letter, 5 letters are yours. The third step, how to pronounce this letter. Let me rub these lines. So we have this thing. Okay, we will use this word, Sutherland, and then we are going to have this word. So combine them and we will have the pronunciation. give me this thing from here, not so, but so, how we pronounce it in Sutherland. So that sound should come here. So, and from salt, so there are two pronunciations that I heard. First one is salt and second one is salt. So we are going to go with the first pronunciation, salt. That sa I am going to get here. So it will be sat sa, not susa. Don't pronounce it how it is written here, but how it is pronounced in these two letters. In the first, but how it is pronounced in these two words, sorry. So in the first word, we are having Sutherland. I'm going to get south from there, and then from the second word, I'm going to get sa. So, sa. So, sa. And if you say it without any break, sassa. So it will sound like this. Sassa. The fourth step is the sound. It will sound like an S. So I tried, okay, we will discussing in the sixth step actually. So it is going to sound like an S, and the examples that we can have are examples will be, you can have Sutherland, of course. This example you can have, and then you can have example Scotland, you can have Sydney, or Spain you can have. All these words will be starting with this letter. Sixth step, wrong sounding words. Are there any words which will be starting from an S but will not be starting from sasa? I tried to give you a word, but I could not get it. All the words so far that I have thought about, all the words which are starting from an S will be starting from this letter, sasa. But it might not be necessarily true. For the time being, I do not have any example. So if there are any Punjabi speakers who are watching this video, I urge you to mention the word which is starting from an S but will not be starting from sasa, so that we can cover this up in some other videos. Then we are having the seventh step. Okay, the seventh step is how to write it correctly. When you write it on computer or you read in books, right? So it will be something like this. A line, this thing, and then this thing. You will not see this, this zero or this space here that we have. It will be mostly filled. And it will not be that big like we have it here. So it will be something like this. This thing, sorry. So it will be like this line, this, and then this. It will be like this. But in general, when you write an exam, right, you will not be writing it in this way, but this way, like we have it here. So this is the way that you will be writing. But just to make sure that you will not be getting confused with this letter here and this letter, because both are same. And in almost all the letters that we are going to talk about, most of the times this thing will be omitted whenever you are writing in on computer, you are reading in books or newspaper. So this is the fourth letter of Gurmukhi, Sasa. And the final letter for this lecture is haha, the fifth letter, which is very, very easy. The fifth letter, haha. And I'm pretty sure if you know English, you will be able to recognize this letter from one of the alphabets that we have in English. First step, how to write it. It is just, if you look at it, it is just a J. Simple. Or you can bend it like this if you want to. So it is just a J. But if you know English, a little bit of English, or in general the letters, you will not forget this letter, this Gurmukhi letter. Haha. Okay. So if you know this letter, are you going to learn some other letter? Yes. What is that letter? That is the letter available at, oh sorry, it is the 32nd letter. Know this letter, and this letter is yours. Third step, how to pronounce this letter. It is very easy to pronounce this letter. So whenever we are chatting with someone on the internet, on Facebook, on say WhatsApp, or any other communication application that we have, if somebody makes a joke, we will do this thing. We will say, hey, 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 which most of the people do not use, but yeah, some people do. Or we can say, hey, 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 hey. Some people will say, ha, 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 ha. So I will ignore this one also. This is the pronunciation of this letter. Ha plus ha. Ha, ha. Not ha, 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 ha. Just ha, ha. You have to stop here. Ha and then ha. Ha, ha. So this is the third step, how to pronounce it correctly. And then we are having how it is going to sound, the fourth step. It is going to sound like an H. The fifth step, example. Example will be, we can say Hong Kong. Hong Kong is starting from H, so it will be starting from haha. Haha. Oops. Haha is equal to H. H for Hong Kong. Haha, Hong Kong. The other example can be hungry. And then we can have a simple word happy. Happy, and it will be starting from haha. Number 6. The wrong sounding words. Are there any words which are starting from H, but they are not starting from haha? Again, I could not find any example where the word is starting from H, but it is not starting from haha. But yeah, in some other languages, say German or Russian, they might be starting from sasa, the fourth letter, and then this fifth letter, haha. But I'm here talking about English. In English, I did not stumble upon the words which are starting from H, but they are now starting from haha. Again, someone who speaks English, if they know any words which are starting from H but not haha, let me know in the comment section below. My vocabulary is not very good, so definitely I will miss some words which might start from H. But yeah, if there are some people who know both the languages perfectly, then please let me know below in the comment section. And then the seventh step, how to write it correctly. And this is the correct way of writing. So this line is this. So a little bend should be there. That is the only thing. Actually, we had it there also. Yeah. But in J, I don't think we will be having a bend. So we have to have a bend here to look it like a haha. So these are the first 5 letters of Gurmukhi. There are a total of, as we discussed, 41 letters. We'll be discussing them in the upcoming lectures. So this was the first lecture. Please let me know how it was, if there are any other changes that I should be making, or in a different way I should be teaching you guys. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.